Hi, my name is Jonathan Hop. This is my Sunday Go Lessons channel. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I am an amateur 4 Dan, which means I've been playing Go for about 15, 16 years now, so it's a pretty long time. I'm not a professional player, so I just like to make these videos to give my own personal take on some of the happenings in the Go world. And today we had the second match between Kutia and AlphaGo, and Kutia resigned. Essentially, he felt that he couldn't continue the game. There was no point. He felt that his white had lost, and then there was nothing else he pretty much could do. And he looked so dejected at the end of the game. But this game, I could feel how hard he was trying. Kutia in this game tried to play really complicated, try to play really go for the maximum. And it was really exciting. I felt for him. I could feel like the effort, the mental like Herculean effort he was putting into each and every move, trying to keep track of different variations, trying to figure out, will I throw this group away and get that in return, or will I keep this? And it was a really exciting match. But this is kind of he was trying to go for what might be a weakness of AlphaGo, although it isn't a weakness of AlphaGo. I remember reading about they contacted Iseido. Iseido was the professional that AlphaGo played previously, and Iseido didn't really think that Kujie was going to be able to beat AlphaGo, but that the only chance that there would be if you get into some really complicated fight where there's a lot going on, and then maybe, just maybe, there's an opening where you can find a move that will confuse the computer. But that happened in, I believe, the fourth game between AlphaGo and Lee Sato, but it didn't happen in this game. Actually, in this game, Black found just the perfect place to simplify the game, and that was it. All right, this is just my personal opinion. I like to go over the game pretty much after it's finished to kind of give my own personal thoughts and kind of recap. There's going to be People are going to be studying these games for quite some time, so there's going to be a lot of new variations coming out. Okay, Kujia is white. And first off, it was really cool. We have the 3-4 point, which is this point here, and we have the 3-3 point as a starting off. So this is what Kujia started off with yesterday. And so it's kind of like AlphaGo style, I guess now. Black plays here. And at first I thought this was going to be Mirror Go. I thought both players were just going to copy the other until they found a breakaway point, but that didn't happen. Actually, I haven't really seen. This is a normal move. Like this is a normal thing, and I believe I was talking to Andres Kirov, and he said that up to a certain point, this is like a normal game. This move is pretty good. It's just I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a long time. All right, approach. And what's kind of cool is that AlphaGo doesn't really like this move. I've gone over this what's called the Master Series. I guess Go players are calling it the Master Series now, where AlphaGo played 60 professional players online, and in none of those games do you see Black sliding here. And this is like the first standard sequence that you learn in Go. Like standard sequences are just like plays that you do normally, and they are something that it's kind of like it's just like a standard move. AlphaGo never plays this. So AlphaGo plays this, which is a little more complicated. And then we get this standard sequence, and then white peeps. This is like, I've seen this move before, so it wasn't that surprising. So black defends. This cut is good because this cut will determine whether or not what forcing moves black gets later. So when white plays here, this is a forcing move because if white plays elsewhere, white dies. Okay, so forcing move basically means you will do what I tell you to do now. So white will have to defend. Or if white takes, that's not as good because then black plays here. And black gets this extra move on the outside and white's an Atari. So this kind of move, this stone's going to die, but it's going to give black some forcing moves on the outside. That's going to help black stones over here. White played here. And this is the first surprising move of the game. This game wasn't like the last game in that there was like that really. The first game, the signature move was White's cut in Gote, which gave him all sorts of like wonderful forcing moves, and then he just sailed the cruise to victory. This game, I don't feel there. I don't feel we had a move like that where it was just weird and people didn't know what to make of it. I felt in this game, Black simplified at just the right time. Like he made the complicated game. We had all sorts of stuff going on, and then he simplified it at just the right point, and then won. This jump was I was like most people were probably I was expecting the Hane. and then white cuts, and this gets extremely complicated. I'm not even necessarily sure. You probably have to save this stone. But let's see. Maybe you say if white pushes out, this could be pretty. Yeah, this looks pretty bad actually. Maybe not honey then. Maybe then white black has to go like this because I think white's aiming at this cut essentially. White wants to kill these four black stones in the corner, but in doing so, if black gets the outside, it gets to be really thick. These four stones may be pretty small, but there are a lot of variations. Beginning with the Hane, how it is that white can be able to do something here. Cutting right away won't work because then black just goes like this, and then white has three liberties and black has four, and then you die. So that's not going to work. So white would probably have to cut. I'm again not super sure what to do at this point. We have to end up giving something up at a certain point. But this actually makes a lot of sense because it's basically saying like these four stones are small and the outside's much bigger, but you also want to pressure white from the outside. So white pushed, and then black used this forcing move. All right, so now essentially black gets this move in Sente. Sente means initiative, so like you have to respond to me. It's a threatening move. If white does anything else, like if white takes this, I mean this is terrible. This is not acceptable to lose those stones because they're too important. So that's definitely a move that white cannot ignore. So basically, when white pushes here, this is Sente. White has to extend, and then black can come back here. And then there's no, if white cuts, then there is nothing really white can so much do about this. So now these white stones are all dead. So in which case, white decided to play at the bottom, and this is a very key idea in Go. Is you play elsewhere when locally there doesn't seem to be a good move for you. So like I think if white were to try to play this right, and black plays on the, let's see, yeah, just play on the outside, and then I don't know, like this. Like white would win the capturing race, sure. Well, would he even win the capturing race? Because if white goes like this, see, this doesn't really help in the end. See, would white cut? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you win the capturing race. But white could probably kill those stones and take the corner. Um, but in the grand scheme of things, I think the bottom becomes the biggest point, and maybe black plays something like this. And the 8 points, or maybe it gets 8 points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 points. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Maybe this is worth like around 15 points ish, whereas something on the bottom will be worth more. So that means that 15 points versus like 20 points. Then black makes a gain of 5. So I think that this actually, on looking at the whole board, will be a little bit too small. And I think I think both Kuji and AlphaGo had the same idea. So white extends along the bottom, and then black plays here, which is expected. You don't want to let white get like a really nice shape like this. This would be really efficient for white. With only 4 stones, he's got to control most of the bottom of the board. So that's not good. So you extend, and then this makes the game kind of complicated. Like white's not going to pick a defensive move like this. This is terrible. White wants to play very actively and try to separate the black stones from each other. But in doing so, his stones are also separated. Defends the bottom. This is good because if you defend this stone directly, then I think white can start. I mean, the 3/3 stone is going to live. It's not going to die, but then the left side comes under white control, and then this stone at D14 is pretty much perfect in the right spot to make the left side a big box territory. So this is the right direction. Uh, White caps. And it's going to be, I mean, professionals are going to be going over this game for a while and trying to figure out where white went wrong. Because white went wrong, really wrong somewhere, but it's not obvious where it was. That's kind of like the mystery of AlphaGo. It's like he wins and just without too much effort. Alright, this move is threatening these 2 white stones. If white doesn't do anything, black can play moves like this. And then it's not like white's mostly alive, but this group is going to get harassed. It's not going to have enough space on the edge to live, and so you don't want to be like, oh, have a group that can be easily harassed, where your opponent harasses you and then your opponent makes points while doing it. So white played here, which is sort of mixing it up. So there's a lot of vagueness. White's groups are vague. They're not necessarily alive yet. They're not dead either. Black has groups. Black's groups. This group and this group, I'd say, are alive. Although this group has like some shape weaknesses, all in here, which could become problems. Maybe they will become a problem. Maybe they won't. And then there's this one black stone over here, which also could become weak. So White's trying to keep the board vague. He doesn't want the life and death of the group to be settled until the very end. So Black jumps. I love this move. This move is great. It puts pressure on the upper left stones and these stones, and also the connection between these two stones, here and here. While White doesn't have to necessarily directly connect them, their connections is weak, and that could become a problem for White. So I kind of feel like Black was setting up to make the game harder on White early on. Because I feel that in comparison, Black's groups, like Black's group here, A, B, and C, are relatively speaking more stable than White's groups at D, E, and F. Just relatively speaking. So go with like strength is relative. It's not that I'm so strong and you're so weak. It's just kind of a balance thing. I want to be a little bit above you and you be a little bit below. Alright, White plays here, which is good defense. Okay, and then we're threatening to swallow up the entire left side of the board really big, so White can't really afford that. So I think up to here, I was on Twitter, obviously with talking to people, and Demis Hassabis, I think, is the guy working for Google DeepMind, and he tweeted that Kujia basically up to a certain point, I think maybe move 30, maybe move 40, I forgot which, was playing perfectly. Like Kujia had picked pretty much all the correct moves, like the optimal moves at every single point, which is, I mean, impressive. Kujia is a very impressive player. He is in no way, shape, or form lacking in strength. So it looks like up to like maybe this point, White has picked the best optimal moves that White can do. So there's nothing really to say about that. So Black plays here because this stone at J3 needs some support. And White plays this, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff here. This is very, very, very complicated. So let's see, let's look at some variations. Again, there's lots of variations to go through, and this might take a while. So Black plays here. I was thinking about like just giving this up. This is terrible for White because this stone at P3 is essentially going to die, and we're giving up the whole like right hand side of the board for no reason, and you still kind of need another move on this side. Like it's not even like really comfortable, because the problem is stuff like this is bad agi, and what that means is that these three stones could become a problem later, not directly, but if there's another move, like let's say Black has another move here already, then these three stones can be a big problem. And so you're giving Black stones for no reason. That's why that sequence is pretty much out. Let's see. What if White turns? Is the ladder good for him? So let's say Black tries to kill. Does the ladder work? I don't think so. Okay, Tari here, the ladder doesn't work. So this is a classic ladder shape. So since the ladder doesn't work, this move then therefore doesn't do anything. We can't really do this. So then we have to think about maybe a tarring at the top. Going here. Maybe a fight like this, but I think this fight could be pretty difficult for White. Because this Q6 stone is in such a great position to sort of seal White in. Alright, so White plays Atari here. Connects. This move is very important. It lowers the liberties of these three white stones. Now that K5 is a very big weakness that cannot be ignored. White has to come here, and then this is a very interesting point because if White plays this, then Black will play what's called the bamboo tube, which is this. It's Black's not going to immediately cut. That's weird, and that's not going to be good shape. So here it's like it could be very difficult for both players because this lower hand right, this group here, the white group here, is really not alive. Like if black plays like this, then white's I don't. It's going to be very difficult for white to find life, in that very like narrow space. But this, this may be a little bit more sturdier for white, but he's still this right hand group is going to really suffer. That's why this move right here was so important because it makes the M5 Sente, and M5 being Sente means that this lower right group is going to be cut off. And unless white has enough time to play something like R3 or R2, like these 2 points, unless white gets the initiative to play on one of those points, the lower right hand white group is very, very weak. So basically, white didn't like any of the direct options, and when you don't like any of the direct options, you attach to a stone and start fighting to change the situation. So, of course, black is just going to cut white. There's no reason not to. White Hanes, and this is Sente. You have white has no choice, and it's really rough because this is basically going to be Sente. White's going to go, and then basically what do you do like this, right? And then there's the connection between this stone, the wall here at A and the stone at B is pretty strong because there's a lot of liberties here. So that means that white doesn't have many like ways in which to come out. Like what white would strategy if white wants to live would be, hey, I'm going to come out. No, you're not. I'm going to come out. No, you're not. I'm going to come out, and then he would build stones to like make an eye. But that becomes really difficult if black can ignore you. So black cut. And see, the whole time I think Kuja and many people were just wondering what can he do to really kind of get the situation going, because he's got like a group at A that's not entirely alive, a group at B not entirely alive, a group at C not entirely alive, and a group at D dying pretty close to it. He has 4 groups, and they're vague. But black's also vague too, but I kind of feel that black is a little bit sturdier than white. Alright, black cuts. Okay, white plays this. And this is pretty much, I kind of feel this is close to a one-way street. Like, black's not going to do this because this is terrible. Let's see, white has to go here, right? And black can Tari here. White turns, black plays this, white goes down, black plays this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Black would lose the capturing race pretty badly. Alright, that's not going to work. So, in which case, black goes like this. Now, his right side, the bottom group for black, is not totally alive, but it's one of those situations where, like, in order to kill your opponent, you have to have a couple, like, stones in place, so it's very difficult to kill. Like, most likely it will live, but it's not completely alive. This is, like, really solid. This is Sente. Otherwise, Weissen for World will hurt. And here we go. Now, this sets up a Ko on the left-hand side of the board. White could play here, and then black will take. They'll have to fight over who controls this area. But the problem is that this is like the theme of this game, vague. It's like Michael Redmond was basically saying it's not clear from black's perspective how he plays one move and then gets the entire situation settled. So like if white plays somewhere else, there isn't really like a move that, like if black plays like this and takes care of the 2 cutting points, white still has the ability to cut here and play out the Ko. Like the Ko is not resolved yet. And other places, if you don't protect these cutting points, then the Ko is not going to be resolved. So there isn't like one move for black to play and say, no, there's no more Ko. It's done. These stones are dead. This whole area is mine. It doesn't really have that. Alright, so white fought a really long time. Like Kuja had a kind of a little like hair scratching thing going on during the game. And believe me, I totally understand. I like to play intense fighting games as well. And you have to really think. It takes a long time to be able to go through all the variations in your head. And this game is not simple, and you don't want to miss a good move. You don't want to miss the move that will get you victory, because there's a lot of like rabbit holes you can go down. So the idea here is that this group is vague, and if this white group lives, that will weaken this bottom group, and it will definitely weaken this group on the left. But white needs a co-threat, and white needs lots of co-threats. White has a co-threat here, but that's only one. After which black has co-threats towards the center. So like if black wants to just to demonstrate, black has like this, and then like the Hane to try to capture this group in the center. So what white needs to do, what white's thinking is, hey, I like to play out this ko because settling it would be pretty big for me. But I don't have really big co-threats, and my group over here in the bottom is like dying. So I need to find something. I need to go big, basically. So white plays out like this, black Taris, and then black pushes. And playing away is very like surprising, but actually this is where this is where the points are, right? Weak group, weak group. Like white has 3 weak groups. So if white has 3 weak groups, and there's this group of D, but black never really cared about D that much in the first place because he left it there to die to begin with, then yeah, this move makes sense. M7 is the move to play. Who cares about the upper right? White will play here, which is fine, then black plays here. This is painful. Alright, white gets out, but white still, this move, I love the move at G8. That was my move for the game because it's starting, this group is starting to look a little bit weaker. And the center group is not alive yet. And this group is a ko, and this group is one move away from death. And I don't know when white is going to find time to make the lower right live. He never really quite finds time because his groups are too weak. So kind of like that's what we have a maximum go, never make a lot of weak groups because you have to defend weak groups, and when you're defending, you are on your back foot. Your opponent gets to get the decisive advantage. So when basically I think the game's over when black plays Q3, excuse me. When black plays this entire lower right hand side of the board, like the border, let's just say for sake of argument, the border goes like this. This is huge. This is a quarter of the board, and white does not have a quarter of the board in retrospect. So what white's thinking is, well, Jesus, this is a huge area. If white can somehow win this ko, white's area will be competitive with black's area, and white would like to get co-threats in an area where black isn't going to get a lot of profit. So, for example, I was thinking Kuja would use this bottom group to make co-threats so that if black decides to answer the ko over here, then this group, which is already dead, isn't going to be a gain of profit for black. In Go, if you already possess something and then you you get it where it's solid, you haven't really gained anything. Whereas white would gain this side, so that might be a good exchange for white, but it never ended up happening. White basically this is all beautiful. Like this is every shape point is here, and white finds a way to do it. So white is basically building co-threats. The first thing white is doing is basically saying listen, I'm going to make it, my group is probably not going to live if I don't have enough space. But here's the thing, if I get 2 moves, this group is going to live, and then you don't get the entire lower right hand side of the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that you have to basically spend 2 moves to kill me, and then I'll spend 2 moves over here and get this entire left side of the board. That's his plan at the very least. And so these are all moves designed to white can't really live, but white can get close to living. Alright, we're going to start the ko. What black's not going to ignore. It amazes me how simple black plays. Just connect. White comes out. Alright, and so white is continuing, white is connected, but white, this is very, weak shape. This is not an eye, by the way. So that means that, 03 is not an eye, and 05 is not an eye, so white is still, dying. Alright, so white comes out. All these are, these are, one-way streets, basically. It's just amazing to me how these 2 stones, even though they were played at the beginning of the game, they're so useful for black throughout the rest of the game because this forcing move really helps black out. Okay, white has to answer. And this move, this is, I guess, so last game it was the cut. For this game, it's this move. This move is amazing. White's really weak in the center, and the way that these white stones in the center connect out to health friendly stones is through this corridor around A. And if white will need something else to, so like basically could you have to protect to make sure that this group linked up with the group on the left. This stone essentially sets up the threat is if you play, let's say you like play somewhere else. I will basically come through and I will start to separate this group from the other group. Essentially, that because this black group, what white is basically doing is this. This is why this is such a complicated game, because none of the groups, the statuses are not set. This middle black group is not alive. This white group is dead. It doesn't have enough eyes. Maybe it can go for a co, possibly. If the co here is decided, then this black group is not alive. However, white cannot afford to just let black attack him because then he has to defend here. Otherwise, black will kill something and then black will win. So that this move, which looks super super slow, sets it up so that basically somewhere around A and B are a two-way street. It's Miyai, and that what that basically means is black has a good move either way, whereas white only has a single purpose move, which is connect out, and he loses the initiative on this side to harass black. So black jumps, white plays this, and then this move, the hope for this group inside is that maybe if white gets to play like this, it's really not looking very good. White needs two moves. White needs that move, and white needs this move. The reason I say that is because white wants to play stuff like this. Let me kind of go back. So what white's aiming for is if white gets something like this, then that way this black group is really really weak. It's not going to really be able to live. When you have a weak group, you have to have forcing moves in order to live. Otherwise, you're just basically dead. So black plays this, and then white continues the co. And then white attacks the center group, and that's the normal response. And then black plays a co threat. They play the co fight, and this is the surprising part. Black basically feels if this is dead unconditionally, then white who cares if you take these two stones? It doesn't matter. That's correct. That is the when you see it, it's yeah, that's real simple. There's no reason to make this any more complicated or to go down any more rabbit holes. White takes this, so what? This is dead. Even if white takes these few stones up on the top, it's enough for me to win. So black is left with one last target at A. This is a weak group. There's a little bit of vagueness at the top, but not really. Because these white stones are not, the best you can do with these white stones is maybe, cut at 018. Whew. Like I said, this game is a super complicated fighting game. For every move I'm showing you, there's probably a huge amount of variation. So white plays this, and this is so solid. And here, black black didn't even bother haunting or anything. He just simplified, and now the lower, this group is completely alive. White can't do anything because black will cut. So black is connected, black's still alive. Black has killed white pretty much unconditionally. It's not gonna. I don't see life. There's no way to live. There's not even a co. It's just you're dead. This is a false eye. This is a false eye. I don't see anything that white can do to live. And so since there's no Sente move because this group is alive, so essentially black's just wrapping up the game. Black somehow had a huge lead in the fight. So black then uses this sort of here once we get to this point, reason white resigns is because there's no way white can kill everything here. White would have to kill everything, all of this, in order he'd have to start here, and I don't even know what to do at this point, because it's pretty difficult. You can't even kill the group in the middle. It's another co, I guess. Right, so if you cut, right, black may not even, black may defend like this, yeah, because these two stones aren't really that important, so black lives, so the last target on the board is dead. The last target on the board is alive. and this group in the middle looks pretty good. I don't see a clear way of attacking it. Even if you do something like this, it's not. There's no clear attack. This stone right here at K13 is too weak for there to be an attack. So if this lives and the middle lives, and white will just not have enough points because he lost 1/4 of the board. 1/4 of the board is dead. Right. So Kujia, I watching it was a little bit rough because let me get rid of this. He, you can see in his body language, he was just, he tried so hard. He kept looking through variations. Weaved and bobbed and fought as hard as he could, but like in the end, black plays here. It's not even clear how things are going to go at this point. Yeah, you can't do that. So you can't. There's no way to fight. There's nothing to do. So if this left group lives, this is not enough. That's all. White would just get some small corner, some center points, and that's it. And it does not equal this level, so there's just nothing to do. But you can see in his body language, he just had had enough. It must have been a terrible experience to have to be beaten so soundly. So let's to kind of review some of the best moves in the game from my perspective. Were this move where black essentially defends himself and attacks white at the same time, uh, which totally turns the game around because this center group is alive for this black, then white has no target. And white's entire strategy is upended because white's strategy is based on using of the vagueness of black's groups to somehow strengthen himself. That move is an awesome move. The use of forcing moves in the upper left is pretty cool too. I'm very impressed with that. Also, what else for black that I really find was very just chic, I guess I could call it. Um, this move I liked, and just this whole fight because right here I really feel that after black pushes, white is in the worst overall strategic position, and all of black stones seem to be splitting white in just the right ways to have the maximum amount of effect. But I guess the real star of this game, at least for me, maybe when the pros go over it in real detail, they'll find where maybe white went wrong. But the real star of this game, I think that would really put it in black's favor is this move. This just like I feel like the game's pretty much decided at this point. My congratulations to Kujia. He tried his absolute best. Part of the one thing about this series is a little bit of a downer is that many Go players like myself, we really don't expect Kujia to win at all. After the Masters series, where the Master just like wiped out 60 some odd professional players, and then it's even stronger now. I don't really feel that he has much of a chance, but I do like really appreciate him participating, and I also really appreciate getting to like watch this extremely high level go, which is just absolutely amazing. All right, that's all for right now, and I'll see you guys next game.